So today we are diving into what may be the biggest organizational transformation the Lakers have experienced since Dr. Jerry Buss purchased the franchise nearly 5 decades ago in 1979. And we're in the year 2026. So this is a huge summer. I've kept saying it for months and months and months. This is a huge summer for the Lakers organization. And when Mark Walter officially became the Lakers' majority owner following a record-setting $10 billion sale from the Buss family, many fans assumed the biggest changes would happen on the court. But instead, we're seeing something much larger in a sense. We're witnessing a complete modernization of the Lakers organization from top to bottom. And if this feels similar, that's because Laker fans have already seen Walter's blueprint before. We've seen it with the back-to-back defending world champion Los Angeles Dodgers. When Walter and the Guggenheim Baseball Management took over the Dodgers in 2012, they inherited an historic franchise that was operated more like a family-run business than a modern organization. Before they took over, you had the McCourts basically running the Dodgers franchise into the ground, just being so cheap with everything that they didn't want to invest into the Dodgers organization the way they should have. Much more like the way the Angels are being run right now with Artie Moreno, not trying to invest in the team. But when the Guggenheim baseball management group took over, it really just modernized the Dodgers, and over the next decade they transformed the Dodgers into arguably the gold standard of professional sports organizations. And now with that same philosophy, they're trying to implement that with the Lakers. Now let's start with the front office. For years, the Lakers were known as one of the smallest basketball operation departments in the entire NBA. I mean, they relied so heavily on what used to be called the Laker way, keeping everything very much in-house. The biggest example of this was keeping Joey and Jesse Buss in charge of the scouting department. Now, they didn't do a bad job. Obviously, there's guys that they have seen and they have brought up, when guys like Alex Caruso and Josh Hart, Austin Reeves, so on and so on. They didn't do a bad job, but it wasn't what modern NBA teams do. Modern NBA teams have centralized people that are in charge of these scouting departments, and they're a much larger department rather than just two guys that were the sons of Dr. Jerry Buss. And what they did was they just hired people that they could trust to help run the organization like that. Basically just relying heavily on long-time relationships. But it wasn't really anything that was modern in the NBA. That it was a relatively lean staff compared to organizations like the Oklahoma City Thunder, Boston Celtics, Miami Heat, even Golden State. But things are changing very, very quickly. The Lakers have begun adding executives with backgrounds in analytics, strategy, business intelligence, and organizational development. Now, General Manager Rob Pelinka still remains the head of basketball operations, but they had talked about a couple weeks ago in the Lakers' end-of-season press conference where they talked about their hiring for an assistant general manager, and that is something that they have done. One of the most notable additions in the last week or so was the addition of Roham Ramadas, who has joined as an assistant general manager of strategy and data systems. His role is designed to expand the franchise's analytics department and bring more of a data-driven decision-making into the basketball operations, which is something very similar that Andrew Friedman of the Dodgers does with the Dodgers organization. And I wouldn't be surprised if Andrew Friedman had a helping hand in hiring Rohan to fill this position, because that's just the way modern sports organizations run things now. The organization is expected to continue building out scouting departments, player development, and analytic departments in ways that simply weren't prioritized during previous eras. This isn't necessarily an indictment on how the Buss family operated. It's just an acknowledgement that professional sports have changed. Championship teams today aren't built solely on, let's just throw money on player X, Y, and Z and they can deliver us a championship. That's not how championship teams are built. Now, you may look at the Dodgers and say, oh, they spent on Ohtani, they spent on Friedman, they spent on Mookie Betts. One, it's a completely different sport. But two, they're not just spending on guys just to spend. They're bringing in, obviously, Shohei Ohtani was the number one player in the world. But guys like Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, you can even say Kyle Tucker and Yamamoto, all these guys that they have brought in, they're culture-fitting guys. You can't just pay player X like a Juan Soto and expect him to fit in, because if a player doesn't buy into your culture, then all that talent and all that money isn't worth shit. So the Dodgers have done a great job at building their foundation through what their culture is, through their manager Dave Roberts, and all through everyone through up and above the front office, building that culture. And that's what you want when you are bringing in players to succeed for your team. But more importantly, they're built through information, they're built through technology, they're built through infrastructure, which means the data. You're bringing in guys that can fill what you need through data measured analytics. And clearly, Mark Walter clearly believes that the Lakers need to catch up in those areas. But the biggest headline over the last week has been the layoffs that the Lakers organization has done. According to multiple reports, the Lakers recently informed more than a dozen employees across several departments that they were being let go as part of a broader organizational restructuring. Marketing, communications, content creation, corporate partnerships, and other business departments were being impacted. Now, whenever layoffs happen, obviously real people are affected, and that's never easy. It's never easy to have a group of people that have been working for the Lakers for almost decades, and to tell them that they're being laid off. That's never an easy thing to happen, and you never want to see anybody lose their jobs like this. So it's not a good thing, humanistically. But as a business, it's good for the Lakers because this is what exactly they need. Mark Walter isn't just replacing these people with the other personnel. It's more than that. It's reshaping the entire corporate structure. The Lakers have operated under a family business model for decades. The new ownership group appears determined to create a larger corporate infrastructure that resembles the Dodger organization. One major hire is Lon Rosen. Dodger fans know him very, very well. Rosen spent years building the Dodgers' business operations and marketing machine. Now he's serving as president of business operations for the Lakers and helping oversee the organization's transformation. This is where things get really, really interesting, because when you look at what's happening behind the scenes, it becomes clear that Walter isn't just trying to own the Lakers. He's trying to build an NBA version of the LA Dodgers. And like I've said in the past, this isn't Major League Baseball where you can just keep throwing money at players and, hey, if we throw, X, Y, and Z contract at player X, then maybe he can sign. This isn't that. But the biggest way you can do that and throw money into your team is actually building the practice facility into a more state-of-the-art facility than it already is. The Lakers' UCLA Health Training Center in El Segundo has been one of the league's most recognizable facilities in years. I've had the pleasure of being there many, many times over the years because of my season tickets with the South Bay Lakers. I've toured the facility a few times. I've shot baskets on the court. I've seen the facility through and through, and it is a beautiful, beautiful facility. But they are going to restructure that facility that fits more of a futuristic and more modernization of which NBA facilities are starting to look like. Already significant upgrades are already underway. The South Bay Lakers, which I just mentioned, they're already relocating to Coachella Valley, where they're going to have their own arena and dedicated facilities. That moves up valuable space within the Lakers' current practice complex, and the Lakers aren't wasting that opportunity. And according to multiple sources, even team officials, the organization plans to install new biomechanical labs, movement analysis technology, recovery facilities, and sports science infrastructure designed to improve player development and injury prevention. Think about that for a second. This isn't a cosmetic renovation. This isn't new paint on the walls. This is a complete investment into the science of their performance. The Dodgers have spent years becoming one of the most technologically advanced organizations in baseball. Player tracking, biometrics, performance optimization, medical research, recovery science, and now the Lakers are adopting many of these philosophies. For a team that has battled many, many injuries throughout the LeBron James era, that's a significant development. And if these investments can keep players healthier, recover faster, maximize performance, and benefit from all of these different changes, man, that's just another major storyline in the infrastructure of the Lakers that is a positive. For so many years, there's been negatives about the organization, about how it's been being run. Now this is a positive for the Dodgers. And Jeannie Buss remains the team's governor and will continue to oversee day-to-day operations for the foreseeable future. But there is no question that this is now Mark Walter's franchise. And with the ownership change that it's come with some difficult decisions. Obviously, last year, Joey Buss and Jesse Buss were removed from their front office roles, and that was part of the broader organizational restructuring. Both had been involved with the franchise for decades and represented a direct connection to the Buss family era. And I think obviously their gripe was that their father, Dr. Jerry Buss, wanted them to overtake the Lakers someday. And obviously, look, that was his dying wish, but that wasn't in the Lakers' best interest. This is what the Lakers' best interest is. Okay? Mark Walter investing into the Lakers like this. This is something Dr. Jerry Buss would do himself. If you think about it, yeah, his dying wish was to have his kids oversee the Lakers. But no, this is exactly what Dr. Jerry Buss would want if you think about it. Somebody coming in and just throwing money into all of the development around. I mean, this is significant. I think this is exactly what Dr. Jerry Buss would want. But whether fans agree with those moves or not, they signal something really, really important. No position appears protected simply because of the history. Walter's group seems focused on building the structure they believe gives the Lakers the best chance to compete long term. And we've seen already reports that several executives connected to the Dodgers organization have taken advisory roles with the Lakers, creating an unprecedented crossover between the two franchises. Again, that's not accidental. That's on purpose. It's deliberate. So all in all, I think this is a great thing for the Lakers organization, not just for this year coming up, but for many, many years into the next decade of what Lakers basketball could see. And this is a great thing. This is a great first few steps for the Lakers to take in their organization. And